Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today's story from the Chinese fairy book is a story of Confucius, the teacher, editor, politician, philosopher. This is a legend of Confucius. When Confucius came to the earth, the Kilin, that strange beast which is the prince of all four-footed animals, and only appears when there is a great man on earth, sought the child, and spat out a jade, whereon was written, "Son of the Watercrystal, you are destined to become an uncrowned king." And Confucius grew up, studied diligently, learned wisdom, and came to be a saint. He did much good on earth, and ever since his death has been reverenced as the greatest of teachers and masters. He had foreknowledge of many things, and even after he had died he gave evidence of this. Once, when the wicked Emperor Qin Huang had conquered all the other kingdoms and was traveling through the entire empire, he came to the homeland of Confucius, and he found his grave. And finding his grave, he wished to have it opened, and see what was in it. All his officials advised him not to do so, but he would not listen to them. So a passage was dug into the grave, and in its main chamber they found a coffin, whose wood appeared to be quite fresh. When struck it sounded like metal. To the left of the coffin was a door which led into an inner chamber. In this chamber stood a bed, and a table with books and clothing, all as though meant for use of a living person. Qin Huang seated himself on the bed and looked down. And there on the floor stood 2 shoes of red silk, whose tips were adorned with a woven pattern of clouds. A bamboo staff leaned against the wall. The emperor, in jest, put on the shoes, took the staff, and left the grave. But as he did so, a tablet suddenly appeared before his eyes on which the following lines stood. Over Kingdom 6, Qin Huang his army led, to open my grave and find my humble bed. He steals my shoes and takes my staff away, to reach Shaiqiu and his last earthly day. Qin Huang was much alarmed, and had the grave closed again. But when he reached Shaiqiu, he fell ill of a hasty fever, of which he died. And that is a legend of Confucius, where we see the morality of Confucianism brought forth in a tale. And it's important to note the actors in this tale. Qin Huang was known as the burner of books, and as a burner of books and knowledge, you can see how he would serve as a counter to Confucius, the great teacher. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you'd like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As always, thank you so much for listening.